This is the cyclist change. Yeah. This is cyclist change. Bike mechanic series, basic bike skills, episode 1. Okay.
Alright, let's do that one more time. Yeah, I think cool. We should definitely do that one more time.
Picture the scene. You've gone to the pub for a cheeky pint with a couple of your mates. You decided to ride your favourite pub bike of all time, the Canyon Aeroad CFR. Leaving the pub, you've realised you've only gone and got yourself a puncture. First things first, identify what kind of axle you have. It might be a quick release. There's lots of different ones out there. Luckily for us, this one is a simple Allen key. Now remember guys, you need to make sure, 1, you're using the right Allen key, and 2, the head of the Allen key is in good shape. Now, if the head of that Allen key is not in good shape, you really risk rounding off the inside of the axle there. These can be pretty tricky things to keep an eye on sometimes, especially in a busy workshop, your sheds, kitchen, living room, pub garden, roadside. So what I recommend doing is just gently putting it back in the fork. Closer, come here. Remove that valve cap, get rid of that lock nut. Now these are really handy little things to have around. You know, if you are putting a new inner tube in there and it already has one on, just keep it, look after it, save it for next time. You never know when you might need. Now where a lot of people fall down when it comes to changing tires or replacing inner tubes is actually getting the bead of the tire off of the inside of the rim. I would recommend not wearing gloves for this. Controversial, but you're gonna save money on gloves because they'll just rip, you know, when you're doing this, and it gives you a little bit of extra grip when it comes to actually trying to pop the bead off the rim. Yeah, cool. There's a few different, no, what are you doing down there? Come here. Look. There's a few different techniques when it comes to this, right? What I like to do is have the tire, right, you know, in there, put it in there, in your hips, right? Get your thumbs right on the edge there, and push, you know? Keep pushing it around, and eventually it should. You want to work that bead all the way around, making sure it's all popped off the inside of the rim. What you want to do, flip it around, do the same thing on the other side. Get both of these beads, so the one on this side and the one on that side, into the center of the wheel. And by putting both of those beads into the center of the wheel, you've then given yourself maximum slack, let's call it, to then hopefully pop that tire off. Now, how many of you guys have ever used one of these, right? Tire levers, they're great. I'm gonna try and show you the first technique, which is without using tire levers if you're ever stuck in a situation where you don't have a tire lever. And it does have added benefits, like you're less likely to pinch the tube, damage a rim if you're using metal tire levers, which you definitely shouldn't be. Place it with the valve facing up, and we're gonna slowly pinch that tire into the middle of the rim and work our way around with our hands. Now this is a very, very tight tire here, so we might have to resort to using a tire lever, but by doing this, what we have done is, even if we do use a tire lever, we have as much slack as possible in one spot to hopefully make our lives a little bit easier. Flip around, have a look at that. See that? You can actually see the other side through there, right? And that's by pushing those 2 beads of the tire all the way into the rim. So the bead of the tire has actually started to pop off over the outside of the rim now. And how I'm doing that is I'm getting my thumbs in there behind it, and I'm lifting the tire up and over, up and over. And once I've made a decent section of that bead pop over the other side of the rim, hopefully I'll be able to open it up and just get that whole side of the tire over that rim. Grab the inner tube, pull it out, rotate that tire back, easy. Now you've got one side of the tire off. You can see there's loads of slack there, it's super simple. Voila. All right, so you've got your new tire and you've got your new inner tube. Leave that tire to one side just for now. Grab your tube, loosen that valve off, grab your pump, and just put a little bit of air in that tube. I know this is quite a common tip and most people do this anyway, but what it does is it just prevents you from accidentally pinching that tube when you're putting it back in the tire. Don't forget to do that valve back up. You don't want that air escaping. Swap that back out for your brand new tire. Grab your wheel, you've got to find the valve hole. All right, there it is. Why bother finding the valve hole? So you can match up your logos, of course. Every cyclist who takes himself seriously matches the logo to the valve core. Have a look around the walls of the tire to find a little arrow which will tell you which way it's supposed to go. Right, valve hole at the top. Hold your wheel in the direction that the bike normally goes, right? And then make sure that arrow faces the right way. Find your logo, match it up with the valve hole like that, you see? Very professional, very steezy, very nice. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to pop that first bead of the tire on there. You see this, right? That's what you end up with. Just make sure that bead is right in the center of that rim. That will give us maximum slack all the way around to pop that tire on. Pop it on like that. Very easy. So you got your pumped up inner tube, pre-pumped, valve in there first, nice and easy. Gently, and I mean gently, work that inner tube all the way around, all right? You don't want it to be twisted, you don't want it to be bunched up. You want to have a nice, even inner tube now, all the way around the edge of the rim. It's a little bit of a tricky part, this one, right? You need to pop that inner tube up inside there, right? Just push it in there, nice and easy. This is where things get a little bit interesting, all right? Push that valve up. Why you're doing that is so you don't accidentally pinch that all important little connecting bit where the valve joins onto the inner tube. Get your bead, right? And tuck it in under there, right? You can use both hands, it will help, but you see that? The bead's in there, right? Nice and free. No pinched inner tubes today. We need to start working that bead around, all right? We're just being very careful not to pinch the inner tube and have to, you know, do this all again. We've reached a little bit of a stalemate here. The bead's on all the way around this side, and on this side, it's around about 75 or 80% of the way. This is where the bead gets super, super tricky. This is where most people use a tire lever and pinch the tube. Now, if you are gonna use a tire lever, which we might have to resort to in this circumstance, just be very careful. I mean, look how tight that bead is. Like, there's no way of getting that on there, but we're gonna try anyways. Now, remember how important I said it was that we get both of those beads right into the center of the rim? We're gonna have to do it again, right guys? Just to get that last bit of tire on there. Oh, ignore that. Just to get that last bit of tire on there, gonna, you know, give that tire a little bit of a wiggle just to make sure you're getting every little bit of slack you possibly can. This is gonna be a little bit of a fight. Now, you know, adopt that sumo wrestler position one last time and just work it all the way around. We've got spectators now. David, say hello to the camera. He's hiding. All right, the pressure's on. Hands are getting sweaty, mouth's getting dry. Your friends are asking you how much longer is it gonna take to fix your tires so you can cycle to the next cafe. It's a real battle, this one. I feel like Jeremy Wade on River Monsters. Almost there. It's so tight. Once we've worked enough slack round, we should be able to come in close for the close-up. This is gonna be beautiful. Push it. Now all the hard work is done. You got both beads of the tire on the rim. Just check that you know, inner tube's not pinched up there by the valve. Grab your trusty pump. Lovely little Joe Blow here. Favorite pump. Comes in yellow. Nice. Just give it a little pump. All right. What you're gonna hear as you're pumping it up is the bead of the tire popping onto the rim. Can be a little bit scary. Take that valve off. Hope it doesn't explode in your face. Little visual check. Just check that that bead is seated all the way around on the rim. You don't want it flying off as you're hurtling through the Surrey Hills. Just nip that valve back up, make sure the air doesn't escape. Find your carefully placed so you didn't lose them. Little lock nut. Valve cap, get that on there. Do that up real nice, cool. And there she is. Now, remember where you placed your axle in the fork so you didn't lose it. Very sensible decision. Wonder where you learned that from. Placing your wheel back into the fork. If you do have disc brakes, you don't rub your axle all over the discs, contaminating them. It will sound horrible. And just get that axle back in there. Tighten it up, nip it up a little bit, and then go find yourself a torque wrench and use the proper torque settings. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Cyclist Change Basic Bike Mechanic series. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't learn something, I hope you enjoyed watching me break into a sweat trying to pop a bead of a tire over a rim. Subscribe to our channel, please, and like the video. Thank you. Good night.